Hi, everyone. Welcome to Fiction in Real Life. I'm Jennifer Moore, and I'm here with Heather B. Moore and Julie Daines. And today we're going to talk about dating disasters. But before we get into our show, we've got a giveaway. And it's going to be Nancy Campbell Allen's new book, Protecting Your Heart. And I know this is the third in her series. I think it's called like the Matchmaker's Lonely Heart series, or she has a good name, Hampton House. I can't quite remember the name of the series. It's very cute, and her books are romantic and fun, and there's lots of adventure. And anyway, that's our giveaway. So leave a comment on our YouTube page or on one of our pages where this show is streaming, and you could be a winner. We'll draw one. All right, so we're getting into our show, and we were talking about dating disasters, and I'm going to go first because I have a dating disaster, and this is a true embarrassing story from my dating time. And I was in high school. I think I was 16, maybe 17, and I went with a group. It was probably for a dance. I can't quite remember why I was with this group, but a boy had asked me to go, and we went to a haunted house that just somewhere in Salt Lake. I can't even remember the haunted house. I don't remember many details. I just remember one horrifying detail. So I'll tell you that. We went to the haunted house, and I know I was quite a bit younger than most of the people there, which made me even feel dumber. There's me with my fanny pack and my perm looking good.
You're right back in style.
That's right.
Right.
But anyway, we went to, you go through the different rooms, and that people are jumping out to scare you, or they've got scary stuff in the room. But the one room where the horrible disaster happened was the room where the things are glowy, everything that's like light colors or neon or white that glows, and then the other stuff's dark, and it's kind of disorienting. And what I found is white stuff will glow through fabric. And I was wearing white underwear. I had a white bra on, and I must have had like a sheer, I don't remember what shirt I was wearing, but I remember kind of like looking around and being like, oh my gosh, it was glowing. So anyway, me and my bra were the scary part of that haunted house. And now it's funny, but for a teenager, man, mortifying. And I kept thinking, no one's going to notice, right?
Did they notice? Did anyone notice?
Oh yeah. Some of the girls were like, said something. And I think it was not just me. I think it was not, I don't quite remember, but some of the girls, maybe their thing was off their shoulder or something. But anyway, yep. So what do you guys think? Would you book that horrible story? Heather, what do you think?
I think it's funny. I think I don't write a lot of rom-coms, but I like to read them. So I think it definitely is bookable, and it would fit into kind of a rom-com, especially like in the 80s and 90s when I feel like some of that stuff is done on purpose. Like the people that worked at the place were like, oh, let's do this because all these girls will come in and they'll freak out. And then so they find that funny because the girls are all freaking out.
What about you, Julie? Would you book it?
Oh gosh, I'm so on the fence. I've been thinking about this for a long time. I think I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
I think because I don't know why. I just feel like maybe if I put it in a book, well, first of all, I don't write contemporary. And second, if I put it in a book, I feel like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like maybe it would be a gateway to, I don't know, something weird. I feel like people would be like, why is that in the book? Is that even appropriate? Which is so dumb because it's so mild and it's so nothing. Mm-hmm. And I can totally picture it because, I'm kind of the same age, and we like really popular back then were like sort of a loose knit sweater, like a short sleeve sweater or whatever. And so I can totally picture the whole thing. But I guess I just don't know in my mind how I would fit that in a book and make it not weird.
Yeah.
It'd have to be like,
I think it's totally hilarious, and it's not even inappropriate in any way at all because it was just a thing, but I don't know. It's weird.
It'd have to be part of like the character, and it'd have to be like a series of like mishaps, I think. Not just like you know, put in the scene, but like, oh, and then this happened, and then that happened, and then down the road, you know, this happened too. So it'd kind of be like,
Yeah,
you'd have to have a purpose. Yeah.
you're right. I don't know if I'd book it. Maybe something similar. I don't know, something, maybe weird socks that glowed and you could see the socks had this embarrassing doggy pattern on them, or you know, something.
Yeah, I guess because in order for it to be funny, the guy would also have to notice.
Yeah.
And then that would mean that the guy had to be staring at her chest. I don't know. It just like takes me into a tiny area that I'm not sure I know how to get myself back out of.
Yeah. And also, yeah, it's just embarrassing. So,
But
okay.
it's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
And it's perfect coffee table conversation.
Yeah, there you go. So, all right, Heather, you've got a story too. Let's hear your story.
Yeah. So this one actually is about my sister. And this is not a picture of my sister, but this is back in probably, I say maybe 1990, around then. So my younger sister, she was asked on a date and they went up to Salt Lake, which from our house was back then was probably like 45-minute drive because the speed limit was like 55. And I remember her calling like 2 hours later saying that she was stranded in Salt Lake. And thankfully we answered the phone because back then if someone didn't answer the phone, then you were just out of luck, right? You had to call someone else or call back. And I don't know, just because it's been so long, I don't remember exactly what happened, but they kind of just weren't getting along. And so he excused himself to use the restroom. And you see this like today in like romantic comedies. And he ditched her. And this was like real life. And so I just remember that we had to figure out who could go get her, you know, who had the car, and anyway, and I think my oldest sister ended up going to pick her up, but it was
You left her
I've
in a
never
different
forgotten
city?
that. Yeah, she just, and it was, I mean, it's not like, you know, you didn't have Uber back then, and we didn't have the public transportation back then that we have today. So she was really stuck up there. Anyway,
Oh,
and
gosh.
What if she couldn't figure out how to get home? And was he from? Did you guys live in Provo? Was he from Provo
He lived
too?
in Orem. I feel like he lived in the area, like maybe went to her high school or something. So yeah, it was just a weird kind of
That's
awkward
so
situation.
jerky.
And this is before dating apps, so it wasn't like and so it wasn't a stranger. It was
Right.
I feel like it was someone that she had known and they had flirted or whatever, and then they decided to go out. So
So would you book it, Heather?
Yeah, because I think it's a good lead-in. So I would probably book something like that because I think it's a good lead-in if you're doing like a contemporary story. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a lead-in to romance. It could just be, you know, someone getting stuck and stranded somewhere. But it kind of ups the conflict if you do set it before cell phones and before easy public transportation where you might really be stuck, and you have to figure out, you know, how to get home or how to get out of that situation.
And it was kind of like before kids had like bank cards or anything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like she could do anything unless she
could
have cash in her wallet.
Yeah, she had to use a payphone probably.
Or a check.
Set a
Or the restaurant phone or something. And how embarrassing.
Or call collect or go to like a store restaurant and say, can I use your phone? You know?
Well, I don't think I'd book it. I think that's too traumatic for my easygoing little stories. Unless
you have a tender heart, Jennifer.
I know that's horrible. That I wonder if like I would maybe spin it like he had to go and he didn't get a chance to tell her, but then it all works out in the end.
Like he's super bad, so he had to hurry and go.
Yeah, maybe
he was Clark Kent and he had to
go. Julie, what about you?
I think I would totally book it.
You want him to suffer. You want your characters to.
I mean, it's such a Mr. Wickham move, right? It's so trashy, but at the same time, it would be like the perfect lead-in to a hate to love book, you know, like one that goes from enemies to lovers, whatever, you know, because maybe in the end, there's like a real reason why he had to ditch her. And then he was like too embarrassed to say something about, I don't, you know, whatever. And like you said, with no cell phones, you can't just like necessarily text and say, you know, this happened and I gotta run. I don't know. I just feel like it could be a really great lead into some kind of like enemies to friends.
Yeah, and even
type romance.
if he hadn't picked her up, maybe they just met at the restaurant, so he doesn't even know her address. So he doesn't know how to track her down. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not as bad as driving up, especially I don't know, I'm imagining they're teenagers just driving all the
Yeah.
way up there and just being like, what do I
Yeah,
tell
it's
them?
really
This is
bad to drive
horrible.
all the way up there and then just leave her and then drive
Yeah.
away. That is really a trash can move.
Yeah.
All right, Julie, what's your story?
Okay, so my story actually involves my son, and this happened, I don't know, maybe it was probably around 2010, I guess. And he had just turned 16, and this was his very first date ever. And he had asked this girl out to go to the Valentine's dance or sweethearts dance or whatever they call it. That was being hosted by his high school. So he asked this girl out, and they got a little group of friends together. And the dance was actually at the ice skating rink. And so they went down to the ice skating rink and they were doing their thing. And all of a sudden we get this phone call, and it's lady from the ice skating rink. And she's like, I think you need to come pick up your son. And we're like, why? And they said that he fell on the ice. And we're like, well, I think he's probably okay. You know, he's a tough guy. He's probably just fine. They're like, no, there's blood all over the ice. You need to come and pick him up. So we hop in the car and we go down there, and he comes out and he has this huge cut on his eyebrow right above his left eye. And we're like, what do we do? You know, this poor girl that he's asked is all excited for the sweethearts dance and the whole evening. And this is just the beginning. And so we're like, okay, you stay here with your little group of friends at the ice skating rink, and we'll take Stuart, that's our son, we'll take him down to the ER and get him fixed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we head down to the ER, and we go in there, and they do that little triage first to see how bad the injury is and everything. And they found out that he was on his very first date ever, and it was the sweethearts dance and the whole situation. And this was at a major hospital, like the biggest hospital down in Utah County. And usually it's packed, but tonight it just happened to not be packed, and there were no super bad emergencies. So they kind of bumped him to the front of the line, and they rushed him in, and they didn't even have a bed for him in the ER. So they put him on a bed in the hallway, and the doctor comes out and they inject him with like numbing stuff, and they hurry and stitch him up. We have a picture of him in the hallway. So here he is getting stitched up. And they were so cute and they were so nice. He had some blood on his shirt, and one of the nurses came out with like these special wipes, and she's like, we'll get this off. We'll get you back. It'll be fine. So anyway, they get him all stitched up. Here's the picture of the final result. He's all stitched up. He has this huge bump, but they give him like some ibuprofen, and they like numbed his forehead and everything. And we just take him back to the ice skating rink like 45 minutes later, and they're still there, and he just rejoins his little date group, and they finish off the date and the dance. He came home. He was definitely in pain by the time he got home that night.
Oh, for sure.
But it was just kind of funny, and it was so cute how everyone at the hospital was like, it's going to be fine. We'll get you right back to your dance as fast as we can. It was just really a whole hilarious and funny situation.
Cute. All right. Would you book it, Julie?
Well, I think I would book it, but again, I don't really write modern rom-com type stories, but I do think it's kind of a hilarious story for, I don't know, whatever. It's just sweet. It almost would be super cute to be told from maybe the nurse is the main character, and this happens to come into the ER. It makes a cute little story there too. So
I agree. I'd book it. I love the idea of the whole hospital rallying around this kid, and maybe I would like up the stakes a little, and it was his wedding day, or something where everybody's like, we gotta go, we've got the groom here, or I don't know. Very cute. And man, teenagers can just bounce back. I think I would, even just falling on, like on my butt or my knees, or, not even on my face like that. I'd be like, well, I got to go home, and I'd have to, the next day I'd be in bed with Advil. What about you, Heather?
Yeah, I think it's super fun. I think there's a lot of different ways it could go down. But I definitely, if I had a big of a goose egg and stitches, there's no way I would. I don't know. Maybe as a teenager I would have, but now I would have just been like, I'm done for the day.
Done.
Well, I
But
think
yeah,
I felt really bad because, it was a nice, cute girl that he asked out, and,
Yeah.
they get all prepped up for the big day, and then it ends right at the
Yeah.
beginning.
And he had plans. He felt, he's like, I can't just leave her there with.
Yeah.
So did the dance, it was like the ice skating, they ice skated instead of having a dance? Like,
I honestly can't remember exactly. I do know that the ice skating part was hosted by the school. Like the school had rented out the ice skating rink.
Mm.
So I kind of think that it might have been the whole
that's so
kind
fun.
of.
Well, do you remember we used to do roller skating like that?
Yeah.
And they would play
Yeah.
music and it would be like a couple skate and all the
Yeah.
girls and all, I don't know. That sounds
Yeah.
really fun.
So it wasn't like prom or anything. It was one of the more low key
Yeah.
dances.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you can imagine boys with their friends, they're trying tricks. They're showing off. So he was probably
And
doing
my
something
kid,
really cool.
I mean, the biggest joke about him is he falls every time he goes up the stairs. I mean, he's really athletic when he's doing sports, but when he's just walking around, he is tripping and falling all the time.
Well, thank you, you guys. That was a fun, lighthearted, cute show. We are doing a call out since it's Valentine's season coming up. We want to hear your dating stories. So, listeners, I'm talking to you now. So it could be any kind of dating story, like a fun meet cute, or an embarrassing story, like my horrible glowing underwear story, or maybe a bad date like Heather's sister, or like an accident that happened like Julie said, a weird coincidence where if this random thing hadn't happened, you never would have met your true love. It can be you, it can be someone you know, whatever. We'd love to hear about it. So just just email us your submissions at fictionirlauthors@gmail.com. And don't forget, we have our giveaway. So leave a comment, and we love to hear the stories. If you guys could look into the emails, it is so fun to read your emails. So thank you for sending them in, and we will get to all of the ones that we've gotten. We love them. So thank you, everybody, and thanks for joining us today on
Fiction in
Real
Life.